everything that you learn in life, it will teach you something, and it's usually going to teach you something that you didn't even expect it to teach you. Hey guys, it's Jess and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a tell-all about my psychology degree, because I get so many emails every week from you guys asking me whether you guys should study psychology, how to get into a psychology degree, whether I enjoyed my psychology degree, or even if I'm currently practicing as a psychologist as well. So I wanted to make a video all about my time studying and what I thought of psychology in the first place, just to help you guys out. And I feel like it's always really helpful just to hear from someone that's done the degree already to figure out whether it's something that might be suitable for you. So I hope you guys do enjoy this video and find it helpful. If you want more like sit down chat advice videos like this, just comment down below. And if there's anything you want me to talk about in more depth about my life or my past, then we can do that too, because hey, TMI is not an issue for me. So let's get into today's video. But actually, before we do talk about my time as a psychology student, just want to say, if you guys want to access some more study tips and advice, then actually there are two things you could do. One is you can check out my book, The High School Survival Guide, but two, which was the main point of this announcement, was to sign up to be one of my VIP study buddies on educationarybyjess.com, which is my Stationery Lines website, and you'll get weekly newsletters from me, which will give you access to all of my blog posts and inspirational quotes for the week. And also you'll get a $10 voucher to use when you sign up, which is totally free, by the way. So you can use it on anything from the Educationary website. Okay, now we're gonna get into the actual video for today. And PS, if you couldn't tell, I have a lot of energy today. I don't know why. I had a really good yoga class this morning. Maybe it's that, but it's gotten me in a really good mood, so not complaining. All right, so let's start at the beginning. We'll go in chronological order here. So, how did I even choose to study psychology in the first place, and why did I study it at uni? So if you guys watched a video I posted up 2 weeks ago, I talk about my personal experience with anxiety, and I think that my experience with mental health really was something that made me gravitate towards wanting to work in the mental health sector, or wanting to study psychology just to get a better understanding of the human mind, the human condition, and be able to empathize with people on another level. And also I just really wanted to be able to help people throughout their life as well, which is, I guess, something I'm actually doing from my YouTube channel, just in a very different way, which is cool to see how things sort of panned out. I started studying psychology when I was in high school as one of my final subjects in year 12, and I found it really interesting, so I felt like it would be an appropriate career choice for me to take. So I ended up applying to a range of universities to study a psychology degree, and I decided to study my Bachelor of Psychology at Monash University. So that was a 3-year course, and I actually did it over 4 years because I chose to underload in my first and third year, and it just took the pressure off. And also in third year, it was very grade focused because it gets quite competitive. At least in Melbourne, it was quite competitive because we all wanted to get into a further degree, which was either a postgraduate diploma of psychology or your honours year. So that's when you study for one further year before actually enrolling in another degree to then practice as a registered psychologist. So yeah, I ended up studying a few less subjects per year and decided to just sort of stretch out my degree for an extra year just to take the pressure off, and it meant I had a bit more time to focus on a few other things. And also, coming straight out of your final year of high school, you might not want to go straight into uni and have all of the workload right away. So if you're not in a real rush to get to the finish line, then it can be a really good option for you. Now, I've also been asked a lot about the sort of subjects that I would study in my psychology degree. So in the undergraduate diploma of psych, I didn't do any sort of hands-on work. I wasn't counselling anyone. I wasn't really learning the skills that you need to be a clinical psychologist. It was a lot more theory. There was a core statistics class every year, and I learned a lot about, I guess, just the basics of psychology. So I learned about the different theories to do with development. I learned about different assessment tools that they use to measure IQ or to assess whether people have a mental health disorder. It was very, very broad. And I just remember there was one subject that was all about theory, and I ended up creating this huge mind map. It was definitely bigger than this. I don't know, it's not going to fit in the screen if I show you. But it was just because there were so many things I had to learn. And that doesn't mean that it was a really hard subject. It was just that, yeah, if you want to really get a good understanding and pursue a career in psychology, they just really need to set you up at the start. So there's a lot that you have to acquire, a lot of knowledge that you have to learn, but it was all very interesting. Most of it. Some of it not so much, but majority of it was. And I feel like the thing that wasn't that interesting to me at the time is probably statistics, but as I will get through this video, you'll realize statistics actually does have a place in psychology, and I'm really glad that I did study it every year. Now, before I talk about the next degree that I studied, I wanted to mention that I did a lot of volunteer work and I had an internship while I was studying for my undergraduate degree, and I'm really glad that I did because I think having an internship gives you that edge. I know it can be very competitive, especially in certain courses like psychology where everyone wants to get into another degree and there's only limited spaces. I really am glad that I did an internship, and I also did a lot of volunteer work. But then that was why I did it at the time. But once I actually did finish all of my volunteer work, I realized that it taught me what I really wanted to do and different fields that I had no interest in pursuing anymore. I really recommend you do apply for different internships, you do some volunteer work, and you get out there into the field that interests you, because you might find that something that you really thought you'd like, you end up hating, which is what happened to me, and things that you weren't that interested in at the start actually really do interest you and give you that spark and get you excited to get up in the mornings, and you could really see yourself going down that path. So one of the internships I did was I worked as a research assistant at a children's hospital, and I was working on different studies, collating data, doing a lot of the admin and kind of more secretarial work, but I did get to see and have a bit more of a feel of what it would like to work in the research department of psych. And then I also worked as a volunteer running a self-help group for people with anxiety while I was finishing off my undergraduate degree. And that was really valuable because that was a lot more hands-on experience, and that's something that I didn't get in that degree, but you sort of get a little bit more of that as you get into your postgraduate diploma or your master's, more so your master's. So I feel like, yeah, if you want to study psychology, it's sort of up to you for the first few years to go out and get the hands-on experience, because you don't really get that in the classroom. Okay, so what happened to me once I finished my undergraduate degree? Well, I ended up enrolling in a postgraduate diploma of psychology at Deakin University, which was awesome, and that was a one-year degree. And whilst I was studying that degree, I did more volunteer work, and I worked on the phones for a telephone crisis support line, and I took calls from people experiencing any range of challenges at that time. It was really hard, but it was also very rewarding. And I think I spoke about this briefly in a video a couple weeks ago where I talked about my experience with anxiety. But I took calls from people that were thinking about suicide, that had self-harmed, that were depressed, anxious, experiencing domestic abuse, anything. I can't even think right now off the top of my head how many other topics that I would have covered in phone calls. But that kind of experience was invaluable, and I took a lot of the training that we did, because I don't just put you on the phones right away, but a lot of the training that I did for that particular volunteer job, it definitely helps me in my career at the moment, and it helps me in all of my relationships, because you learn communication skills, you learn empathy, you learn to be non-judgmental, and it also makes you really resilient, and that was a very important thing that I took from that particular role that I had. So I was doing a bit of volunteer work on the side as I was completing my postgrad diploma of psych, and I feel like this was my favourite degree, because as you advance through your degrees and you become more and more of an expert in this particular field, the sort of topics you learn are much more interesting, because they really get into more nitty-gritty subjects and it just becomes a lot more relevant. So for example, we'd learn about different assessments, but we also learned how to use them, or we had a thesis that we had to work on, but it meant that we were also going out and testing participants, finding participants in the first place, collating the data, using all of our skills that we learned in statistics to actually interpret the data, and then we would write up our thesis. So I really enjoyed being able to focus on things that I felt were much more relevant and would really serve me as a psychologist. So I feel like your undergrad, it's more about learning the basics, and then as you get further and further down the line, it becomes more specific, and you also get to figure out where in this huge broad field you actually want to go, because there are so many areas. You could be a clinical psychologist, you could be an educational psychologist, you could work with children, you could work with adolescents, you could work in forensics, you could be a researcher, a lecturer, a tutor. there are so many avenues. And that's also a question I get asked a lot, which is, are there different areas of psychology that you can pursue? Are there a lot of jobs available? And yeah, my answer is there's a lot of different fields of psychology, and it really just depends on you being able to filter through them and figure out which area you're most suited to. And you don't have to decide right away either. You could honestly just see how you go with the flow for the first few years. And as you continue your studies, if you're doing the volunteer work, you're doing an internship, you're speaking with different lecturers, you're engaging with your peers, you'll sort of just find your way. And I feel like it might sound simple, but I really feel like it is actually as simple as that. Now, I know I did sort of pros and cons for my undergrad, so I thought I would do that for my postgraduate diploma as well. So I feel like I've listed a lot of the pros already. The cons, I think I was really focused on getting to the next stage. I felt like I knew what I wanted at the time, which was I wanted to pursue a career as a clinical psychologist and also as a researcher. So I sort of bit off a little bit more than I think I could have chewed at the time, but I wanted to continue studying by doing a PhD and then enroll in a clinical master's and sort of do them at the same time. And I was really inspired to do that because my supervisors at the time, they are brilliant, they are experts in their field, and they really inspired me to pursue a very similar path. But I realized as I graduated from my postgrad diploma that I didn't actually want to pursue that path. It wasn't really me. It wasn't really like I was being true to myself. And that's sort of when I had the idea to start my own business, and I started my stationary line educationary. I started this YouTube channel, I wrote a book, and everything sort of just happened from there in a very short amount of time. So I feel like one thing I do want to say in this video is, even if you think you know exactly what you want to do with your life, just be open-minded, because you never know. You really need to be open to change. You need to be flexible, because I honestly thought I would always end up doing a clinical master's and I would work with adolescents with mental health challenges like anxiety, depression, bipolar. And then as I was studying, I realized I actually wanted to work with children. I wanted to work with children that have neurodevelopmental disorders like ADHD or on the autism spectrum. And then as I finished that degree, I realized I actually wanted to be an entrepreneur and pursue business and a career in social media. So not to say that that wasn't daunting at first to realize that either, because it was very daunting for me to take this huge leap of faith. But I just wanted to let you guys know, you don't have to know exactly what you want to do from the get-go. And of course, I think that I have said this already in this video, but just to reinforce it, all of the skills that I learned throughout my degree, throughout my time at school, they all serve me in some way with the work that I'm doing now. So it doesn't matter if you are studying medicine, law, teaching, to be an artist, to be a videographer, everything that you learn in life, it will teach you something. And it's usually going to teach you something that you didn't even expect it to teach you. When I was dancing, yes, I learned how to be a good dancer. I learned rhythm and I learned how to tap or how to do the splits. Not that I can anymore, but hopefully I can soon if I continue with my yoga practice. But I also learned a lot about being self-motivated, determined, and it helped a lot with my confidence. So you never really know what you're going to get out of a degree or out of something that you're learning or a skill set or a hobby until you look back in hindsight. But don't stress if you're not really sure where you see your future heading, because you just need to be kind to yourself and go with the flow, and things have a way of working out. And if you are looking for some more guidance or support, you can talk to a careers counsellor at school, talk to people that have studied a degree that really interests you at the moment, talk to your teachers, get in touch with universities. There are so many different resources out there. You can go to open days as well, and internships, volunteer work. There are so many things out there that are going to help you figure out what to do with your life. And I feel like this is another video that I should probably make. What to do with your life when you don't know what to do. Trust me that it's going to be out in the next couple of weeks. Just note to self, Jess, note to self. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. That is honestly my whole story about psychology. That was my psychology journey. And now I've answered it. It's out there on the internet, so you guys can finally know everything about my time at uni. And if you guys are looking to pursue a career in psychology, I honestly think it's a very, very fantastic field to work in. It just wasn't for me, but I think that it's fantastic. I learned so many skills from it. And if you're wondering how to actually apply for a psychology degree, it does differ depending on the country that you're studying in. So again, speak with a careers counsellor, speak with a teacher, get in touch with the universities and attend open days. And usually they will be very helpful and happy to assist you. And of course, if you don't get the grades that you need to get into a particular course, there are many ways of getting into that course. So you might want to study a different kind of undergraduate degree, you might want to study a more general degree and major in psychology, and then you can always transfer if your grades are good enough. So I won't go into too much detail in that, but just know that if you don't get into the course you want right away, it's not actually the end of the world. And there are many different pathways that you can use in order to get to where you want to be. So don't stress. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Again, it's another long rambly chat with Jess one, but I really like filming them and I hope you guys like watching them. And thank you to everyone who has watched to the end because you guys are awesome and you're my true Jessicats. And make sure you do sign up to be a VIP study buddy. Just head to educationalbybjess.com because, yeah, like I said, it's free, you get a voucher, and you get to stay in touch with me every week. So, hey, it's a lot of fun. Also, make sure to check out my vlog channel, Life with Jess. I am vlogging quite regularly and I'm having a lot of fun on that channel too, so you should check it out. You can see a lot more behind the scenes, day in my life, just get to know me on a more personal level as well. So if you're not subscribed, go check it out. And if you are subscribed, go check it out because there's probably a new video up there by now. So yeah, that's all from me today, but I'll see you guys with another video next week. Mwah! Bye guys.